add a discussion item surrounding the upcoming, let me think how I'm gonna word this. The mask mandate like removal that is said to happen April 11th.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wait, can you repeat the wording one more time? Sorry.
Yeah, like the mask mandate removal.
Okay, got it. And then Taylani.
Awesome. Hi. So can I add a bylaw change to the agenda? Hold on. USAC guideline change to the agenda. And then can I also strike SWC programming fund?
Yes, bylaw change. Wait, do these go under new business? Sorry.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
There's a language too. Sarah.
Okay. All right, and then Angie.
Hi, can I strike ASRF and TGMF allocations, please? Thank you.
Thanks for your patience, everyone. All right, Haley.
Yeah, Cass wanted to strike California Freedom Summer at UCLA. And then whenever you're done with that, for the new business, the resolution, the USAC, oh wait, JK. Wait. Yeah,
Where's the one she wanted to strike?
Sorry, what's up?
Where was the one she wanted to strike? Oh, California Freedom Summer. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what was the next one?
The next one was like the SAGE module presentation and then the resolution. Those were not supposed to be on the agenda.
Okay.
Thank you.
Jane?
Hi, sorry. Can I strike TGIF? And then can I add a discussion item for promise, or actually, oh, is that good, Sarah? Strike TGIF?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Can I add a discussion item for promise on SAE and yeah, just on SAE.
Okay, got it. Anybody else? Cool. And then I will be striking Bruin Advocacy Grant for my office. All right, I'll pass it back to you, Breeze. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sarah. I really appreciate that. You did amazing. Great. So for the approval of the agenda, can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the agenda for the 8th of March.
Can I get a second?
A second.
Emily motions, Haley seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Great, and by a vote of 11 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and the agenda for this week is approved. Awesome, moving on to approval of last week's minutes. I believe last week's minutes were March 1st. Can I get a motion, please?
I move to approve the March 3rd minutes.
First.
Oh, I move to approve the March 1st minutes.
Can I get a second?
A second.
Who was that? Sorry.
Maya.
Awesome. Jane motions, Maya seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Great, and by a vote of 12 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and the agenda for No, the minutes for last week, March 1st, are approved. Great. Moving on, public comment. Public comment is a time when any member of the public can come speak to council and discuss any issues that they would like to address. Remember that you have the opportunity to speak once for 2 minutes. Use respectful language, use a gender inclusive language. Freedom of speech does not mean freedom from accountability. Please raise your hand. I don't know, wait, does Sarah have those capabilities, Fernando, or can you promote people that have their hands raised in the public? Okay, if you can help out with that, Fernando, I just don't want to overwhelm. Thank you so much. Awesome. Great. So I see Sarah's, I mean, not Sarah, sorry. Council members, if you guys can please lower your hands, I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Radha?
Hi everyone, I hope week 10 is going solid for y'all with finals coming around. This is Radha, the chapter chair of CalPERC Students, the student group that works to advocate for the public interest on environmental, affordability, and civic issues. And we are entering into our last week of the quarter, where we will be focusing a lot on our affordable textbooks campaign for International OER Week. And as I'm sure you know, textbooks are really expensive, so expensive that students are left to decide between their personal well-being and succeeding their education. And no student should have to face this burden, so we are working to make textbooks free and cheaper on campus with open textbooks. And along with that, we will be finishing off our campaigns for the quarter, and we'll carry the same momentum going into the spring, working on banning single-use plastics, making textbooks affordable, gearing up for the spring elections, and getting cleaner transportation in LA. And we are still working to pass a resolution for the single-use plastics campaign. And I just wanted to thank those who met with us just today. We look forward to meeting with many of you this week.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Radha. And thank you for continually updating us and doing such amazing work this entire quarter and this entire year. I don't see any member of the public with their hands still raised. Let me check one more time. Seeing as there is no hands, going once, going twice. I close public comment at 7:11 p.m. Great. Moving on to funding. Contingency, Jenny? I don't see Jenny here, so I'm going to take that as we will not be doing capital contingency or contingency programming this week. Great. I don't think so. I don't see anyone here. So yeah. Okay. So with that, we will go ahead and move on to SFS Momentum.
Hi everyone, so this week we have a total of $2,500 allocated to one CSC org and one non-CSC org, and I'll put that in the chat as well.
Awesome. Are there any objections? Seeing as there are no objections, SFS allocations are approved. Tay, SWC programming?
That should have been striked, but I was also like throwing a bunch of stuff out.
Okay. Great. Art, prom?
Wasn't here to strike as well, so nothing on our end.
For sure. BOD, Jane? Or no, BOD, sorry. LOL.
Okay, hi everyone. It's nice to see you all again. I sent out the final allocation sheet for spring BOD this morning, so you all can refer to it anytime if you like. And we held our hearings on February 24th and 25th. We had budget review committee members from USAC Council and also members from Finance Committee come so that we were able to reach quorum. And also, since this is our last round of funding for the year, I'd also just like to take the time to thank everybody who was able to come sit at our hearings throughout the year. It was really and truly a pleasure to work with and get to know you all. So thank you very much for that. And then for this spring BOD funding cycle, we approved a total of 61 programs across 43 non-USAC entities and 1 USAC entity. So in total, the amount we're allocating this quarter and requesting approval for is $163,435.11. And then I can also put it in the chat.
Hello, I was muted. Thank you so much, Kayla, for all that hard work that you've been putting in. We really appreciate it. I do have a quick question. Do we have to vote on this, Josh?
I believe it's a consent vote. Patty, there's no vote on this, correct? Because it's already been voted upon.
On BOD funding?
Correct.
No, the council votes.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
I guess it can be a vote by consent if there's
It's
no
a consent vote if
Yeah.
it is a vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any objection then? Seeing as there is no objection, BOD allocations are approved. I think that Jenny just arrived. I think she also put in the chat the allocations, the contingency program. Oh, awesome. Jenny, do you want to take the floor?
Oh my gosh, yes. Sorry, I lost track of time. But happy week 10, everyone. Here's the spreadsheet for this week. This week we have $17,283.97 for 21 non-USAC entities. So this is our largest allocation yet, but it's really awesome because it shows that everyone's really excited to have more events spring quarter, and I'm really excited to see what happens.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jenny. I appreciate all that work that you've been putting in. Can I get a motion?
I move to allocate $17,283.97 to 21 non-USAC entities.
Can I get a second?
I second.
Awesome. Emily motion, Sarah seconds. All in favor, please raise your hands. Great, and by a vote of 12-0, the motion passes and capital contingency for this week is approved. Jenny, did you have contingency by any chance?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to specify. That was contingency programming. I don't have anything for capital contingency this week.
Okay, so let me restate that. For a vote of 12-0, the motion passes for contingency program this week. Awesome. Okay, we're going to move straight into special presentations. We have the parking fee consultation. I don't know if that person has been promoted. Let me check participants. I'm not really sure. Yeah, I imagine it's David.
Hi, everybody. No, I think they're fine as panelists, so I can share my screen. Yes. Okay, wonderful. Let me get set up here. Can everyone see the screen? Yeah.
Yes.
It looks normal? Okay, great. Well, first off, thank you so much for allowing UCLA Transportation to come and present. My name's David Wiedemann. I'm the interim director for Commuter and Parking Services. You would usually see Lisa Kerbling. She's now the executive director. So again, thank you for having us. So let's get started. Our daily campus population is a mix of about 85,000 per day pre-COVID. And we'll be in that range again when we emerge from COVID. So as you can see, it's a whole mix of faculty, staff, students, patients, their families, conference attendees, distinguished guests, and athletic attendees. I thought this chart would be interesting. The chart you're looking at shows our average vehicle trips in 15-minute intervals. You can see the shaded area represents where we started in 1996. The yellow line represents where we are as of the quarter count of October of 2021. You know, as we all know, campus growth is always present. By the second year of record-breaking applications for UCLA. So how do students get to campus? All sustainable transportation modes accounted for, and you can see on the right-hand side, which is the one you'll most likely be interested in for students, accounted for about 60% of the total commute patterns, which included public transit, bike, walk, carpool. And then the other big categories are driving alone, representing about 22% of the population, and then no travel or online students representing about 16%. So how does transportation facilitate access? You know, we manage our own traffic systems around campus, offer daily discounted parking for students who are participating in public transit or carpool, and then advocacy and subsidy of fares for public transit. Bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, Bruin bus, and other incentive programs really kind of come together for facilitating access around campus, or to campus, excuse me. So from a planning and advocacy standpoint, we continue to engage local agency leaders to plan with our needs in mind, while continuing to advocate for sustainable transportation modes. Listed are some of the most recent projects that we continue to track and advocate for as they connect to campus. Some of them are listed there. It's over the corridor, Torrance Transit, and the Purple Line, which I personally cannot wait for. I live in Whittier, California, so it's going to be a great connection for me, even though it is years away. So this is our mobility paradigm. And so it's really our model, and it entails three different main areas: infrastructure, programs, and policies, combining to facilitate access and movement around campus. As you can see, in the top bubble, bike lanes, traffic calming, scooter parking, and deployment areas. And for programs, we have an extensive transportation demand management suite of offerings, and daily discounted commuter parking. And then on the policy side, you know, we have our long range development plans, and the university, I'm sure you're all aware, has huge goals in terms of greenhouse gas reduction goals. And then we do adhere to caps, self-imposed caps, with the city of Los Angeles for vehicle trips to and from campus. So we also have some new efforts around mobility around campus. So Lyft e-bikes and Wheels now have about 250 e-bikes across campus for rental use. We also have Metro Bike Share that just launched with 4 stations. 2 are in the village and 2 are on campus. One is near the Luskin Conference Center, and one is behind Perloff Hall. And then also we have a Metro Micro service that launched and provides service in a 3-mile area around campus Monday through Friday. And lastly, this coming spring, another bike lane will be added on CEY Drive South between Reagan, the Reagan Hospital, and the facilities building. So I wanted to bring up these next 2 slides. You know, as we bring on new programs, penetrating the student population and getting the word out has been a challenge for us. We use a bunch of different channels, but I know that there are some, you know, there may be other channels that we can utilize, and we're looking for some help. So this is one of them, UCLA Safe Ride. The Student Fee Advisory Committee funds allow transportation and UCPD to expand the test pilot in 2018-19. And in concert with USAC, effectiveness and necessary changes were made to improve the reliability of the app that is utilized for Safe Ride. There was then a rebrand of the CSO evening van as UCLA Safe Ride, and then those operations were kind of shifted over to transportation to align with Bruin bus operations. And there's more information online on our transportation page, but this is one of 2 that we're really trying to help with penetrating, you know, just any channels that that you all may know about and that we could utilize. The second one is Bruin Access. So for Bruin Access, previously the Center for Accessible Education van service, it's now used by over 2,000 students to engage in club, athletic, social, and other activities. Currently, the service is a demand response service with limited hours, Monday through Friday. And again, really, this is these 2 programs we really want to try and focus on trying to get some more energy around them. The Bruin Access will probably morph back into what it was once we get back to some more staffing around this type of service. This is an overview of our parking system. We have about 22,000 spaces in 27 structures and 21 lots. Overall, about 21% of those stalls are utilized by daily visitors, and the rest, about 79%, are for permit holders. Also, as you can see down bottom, 49% of budgeted revenue comes from daily visitors to campus, while 51% comes from permit sales. Over the last 18 months, we've seen reduced parking demand for our monthly auto renew permits, and really a transition to flex work schedules, resulting in big behavior changes. And now decisions are being made for parking on a daily basis for a lot of folks that are working in those flex schedules. From a financial perspective, we are a self-contained entity, meaning we receive no state funds. We manage the health of our organization over a 10-year horizon. And as with the rest of campus, it's a fine balance between permit increases to support parking operations, our debt service that we need to pay, major maintenance, and Bruin bus, transit subsidies, bicycle programs, carpool subsidies, and our campus traffic systems. These are just a few of things that our revenues go towards, while managing our operational and program effectiveness, and really the market around UCLA, keeping our eye on that. We try to implement small fee increases in annual increments while remaining aware of our comparable market in and around Los Angeles. So for fiscal year 22-23, revenues are budgeted just under 53 million between all of our different revenue streams. And after expenses, we have a budget for net revenues just above 19 million. So after we pay debt service, major maintenance, and really transportation system support, we are projecting that we're not going to have to dip into our planned reserves as compared to what we had to do last year, obviously with the pandemic. So this is our parking fee proposal. We are planning for a small increase of just over 4.6%. So currently for a quarter, it's $258. It's about a $4 increase per month, works out to just about 4.6%. And so it's that a little bit of a lower ratio for the blue residence hall permits. The daily visitor fee will stay the same. There's no planned increases for the daily visitor fee. This is a comparison chart. We try and make sure that we are consistently comparing ourselves year over year with other UCs in our system, and also with USC in downtown LA. And in most of these categories, if not all of them, we're at or below what is being offered by other campuses. So just a look there. And then lastly, really, it's just a market comparison compared to Westwood Village rates. And again, we're well below the average and daily maximum rates. And also, we continue to keep an eye on our medical rates and compare ourselves to local hospitals around the area for those patients and visitors to the hospital and medical offices. And again, that's all I have. I want to thank you again for the time and partnership of USAC. So thank you so much, and I'm ready for any questions or comments.
Thank you so much, David. We really appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the floor off to Jane and then Promise.
Hi, thank you guys so for coming. I know I saw you at TSAB just like last week. Thank you so much. I was just going to say
hi, Jane.
Hi. I wanted to talk to you guys more about, I know you mentioned like wanting to expand and work on like Bruin Access and SFAC and stuff like that. So I just want to talk to you guys more about that. So I think I will probably email about that tonight or something. But
we'd be excited to talk about it. That comes under the umbrella. Both of those programs come under the umbrella of our Fleet and Transit Director, but his name is Quentin Bench, and he would be, I'm sure, more than happy to really, get the word out. So that'd be great, Jane.
Awesome, thanks. Would you be able to put his email and your own, and I'm sure it's somewhere, but will you be able to put his email and your own in the chat? Thanks so much.
Absolutely. The first one will be mine, and the second one will be his.
And then Prom, whenever you're ready.
Yeah, thank you again for sorry. I think I am unmuted now. But thank you again so much for being here. I kind of just wanted to ask like a couple questions, like regarding parking, like the cost of daily parking on campus, and like kind of just like if there are any efforts to figuring out how to make it a bit more equitable for students, because the cost of parking permits is like a lot, even at some of the like various like discounted rates. And like when the parking passes like permits become available, like at that moment, like a lot of students don't have the amount to be able to secure themselves a parking permit, so then they have to pay like daily for a parking pass. And like at $16-17, like $17 a day, like that's like quite substantial to a lot of students. And like there are students who can like do it, but like for folks who like can't, it's like sometimes it's like I'm just gonna like go to my class and just hope that I don't get a ticket. So that's like a huge problem that's like there. So I would really love to hear if there are any efforts to like mitigate that, make that a bit more equitable, because at the end of the day, like students are coming to school, like to their school, and it's just like Westwood is super expensive to live in, and there's not great like reliable public transportation. So it's like if a student is literally like their last option to be able to have housing that is affordable and also be able to go to school, and then it's just like a $75 ticket there, that's just like it's a huge retention issue, honestly. And I would just love to know if there are like things that like y'all are discussing about doing to like make it a bit cheaper to like be able to park. Yeah.
So yes, you know, what we're always in constant kind of a flux in terms of equity. Like I was saying before, we are a self-supported entity. What I would say is we do, you know, with transit, there are transit subsidies available. And, you know, again, we have had, with the beginning of this quarter, we had for a short time offered the daily rate at a lower rate. And you had mentioned that it was 16 or 17. The parking rate on campus is 14. I know there are some pay stations over at law school that are more expensive, but the rate is $14, and I get that. But we are, you know, constantly looking at what are the things that we can do. But we also have to keep an eye on our financial picture and understand that we do engage in a lot of subsidization for bike, walk, transit, and all of the other things that we do support on campus. And so, you know, I will take that back, and, you know, I appreciate you bringing that up, Promise. And it is a topic of conversation for us, and a real one. So I know that may not be the answer you're looking for, but I do appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, thank you. And the like current subsidies and stuff that like you said do exist, or like whenever they are available, like where can students go to find that information?
On our transportation page. So if a student is has a carpool permit, or is engaged, or it has a transit pass, they're eligible for daily discounted parking. And I believe it's 11 per quarter. Right now they get 11 times where they can engage and pay, and I believe it's $6.50 for parking. If they don't own a you know, a permit, and they're engaging in a sustainable transportation mode, either public transit or a carpool.
Thank you.
And it is on our page, and it's, give me a second, I can post it into, and I'll put my, for everyone, I'll put my stuff in there. Thank you for letting me know. I'll post it in the chat here, and so you can see all of the different subsidies and ways that you can get to campus for students and how you can pay.
And I don't know, George, you had a question, right?
Yes, I did, if you all don't mind. Hi, David. My name is George. I'm actually an alumni of UCLA. I represent the Alumni Association. Good. That was great information. Thank you so much for sharing. I have two questions. I think as a clear follow-up to the line of questioning that Promise was asking, do you all have like a sort of like an equity task force or committee that is able to or has been looking into this? I think that would be one of the ways that, conversations could, spark up when it comes to addressing the obvious inequities that, our students are facing.
So we do not have an equity task force, but I just wrote that down right now, and I'll be bringing that back to our leadership team. So I appreciate that. Thank you, George.
Yes, of course. And then I think the second question is more of a, it's more of a just me being curious. Are you able to tell us the amount of the debt that y'all have to be, and how much do you need to pay off that in a yearly basis?
You know what? I don't have that number. I know that our debt service, I think for this next fiscal year, we're going to be paying about $6 million. I know that we have bonds that are outstanding for several different projects and pieces of property that we have. I don't know the exact number, but I can absolutely ask our leadership and see if that can be released.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Yeah, thank you, David. I'm also very interested in this because like I had ran on like having platforms, and I know like I tried to have a meeting with the transportation office, and I personally felt like they were very closed off to having like discussions around this, and they kind of like continue to say that there were like excess, like I guess they were saying that there was a lot of debt and that they couldn't necessarily make it accessible. But there was a point in my life where like earlier when I was like a second year where I like had to commute, and I live all the way in La Fuente, so that's like a 2.5-hour commute by bus. And it was like very difficult for me because I had to not only pay, like I had to pay the price to like commute in the like greater LA area, and then pay for a parking permit like within UCLA. So I'm just wondering like what kind of accessibilities could be offered, and like maybe like promises to like work with like USAC on our end to like see if we can continue to resolve that, because I think that while the parking permits that are offered do work like locally, they don't expand for a lot of students that might have to commute beyond like the neighboring Westwood area, which it's much more difficult for students that have to commute from further away.
Yeah, I do. I hear you, Breeze. Sorry, those are my puppies. I do hear you, Breeze. I live in Whittier, California, so we are neighbors. I used to commute to the Green Line, go up to 105 and ride the Rapid 6 in, and I do understand the time it takes to get to campus, and I understand that. But we, like I said, we're going to engage in those conversations. We'll talk some more. And do you, if I could ask you, Breeze, when you were saying that there was some closed offness, do you have names of people you spoke to, or maybe you can email that to me and let me know that, hey, I spoke to X, Y, or Z, and they said they really didn't want to share that information. I'd be interested to know who that was. And
Yeah, no, I can definitely make sure that like I follow up in an email
Yeah.
with you, just because yeah, I was kind of disappointed in the sense that I felt like, oh well, like I tried to compose something and it's kind of, you know, we obviously want to work with like different campus entities to make sure that like we're improving like life for the student body. So it was like very disheartening to kind of see like, yeah, like it was kind of like no, and it's just like, okay, well then I don't really know what we're supposed to do at that point.
Yeah, I'm sorry you ran into that. I would tell you, our executive director, our leadership, we're pretty open team, and so again, I apologize you ran into that. I'd really love to, understand what the context was and who you were speaking to. Again, there's a lot of proposals that may be out there or you may have had, but it doesn't mean they're all going to get approved, but I would like to understand specifically what that was and what that exchange was. So if you could email me, that'd be great. I'm going to as soon as I get a minute, I'm going to type it into the chat. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you for making the time to come out tonight. I know it's really late, so it's week 10. I don't know if you have to struggle with week 10, but yeah, we appreciate you coming out. Thank you so much, David.
Yeah, no worries. All right, Breeze. Thank you all so much. Appreciate your time and energy. So we'll talk again.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. I don't think that there's anything else. So thank you so much, David, for coming out. I believe that the California Freedom Summer was striked. So moving straight into appointments. I don't think any of these are just approval, right? Josh, they don't need to be voted on.
That is.
They're all consent, right?
They're all consent. So I assume they are all consent. So yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Momina, can you go ahead and take the floor away?
Yes. Can we promote Juan from the attendees?
Wait. I don't know if we have to because they're all consent, Momina, unless you want them to present themselves.
Oh, we don't. Okay, no, I was just gonna present. Okay, that's fine then. Okay, so I'll introduce my appointment for the Student Risk Education Committee. So Juan Flores, who is a third-year public affairs major and public health minor, and they are one of the CSC outreach directors. So I met Juan last year during hiring, and we kind of knew right away that he fit really well into the CSC culture from his work as a community organizer in South Sacramento and the work he's done here, as well as really emphasize long-term solutions to systemic inequities through service, which is a major focus of CSC and the work we do. And through their role as co-outreach director, Juan has worked with kind of filling in gaps with COVID safety readiness for service orgs, which is why I thought they were a perfect fit for SREC, which really focuses on risk management practices and creating a culture of safety on campus. So let me know if you have any questions or about anything relating to this appointment.
Are there any objections? I think Juan sounds like a great fit. So seeing as there is no objections, congratulations, Juan, on being appointed to the Student Risk Education Committee. Awesome. Moving on to SACBOG. Jane?
Hi. I don't have anything like really prepared, but I am appointing both Jeffrey and Bea to SACBOG. They've both been really prominent leaders in the MO space, and I think they have a lot of potential to work with SACBOG and like help the MOs in their continuing struggle against CPO. So yeah, I guess we can do like Jeffrey first and then Bea.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can, we love Jeffrey and Bea, but yeah, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say if there's any opposition to either of them. I don't have anything to say.
LOL. Is there any opposition? Going once, going twice? If not, congratulations, Jeffrey and Bea, on being appointed to SACBOG. I don't know how to pronounce this, JW Backwad, so I guess John Wooden. I did not pronounce that right, LOL.
Yeah,
Jay?
yeah, I'm also just appointing Phoebe to this, Phoebe Chu, if anyone has any objections.
Okay. Wait, Jane, do you know if you can give us like a bit of background? I know you gave it for Bea and Jeffrey, just so people are aware.
Yeah, so Phoebe is a director in fact right now, and she's really interested in sustainable infrastructure and John Wooden Center Board of Governors. So John Wooden is one of the largest like buildings on campus, and there is a lot of potential there, including especially for transfer students and commuter students with the Bruin Hub and everything in there. He was really interested in working with the building and working on how John Wooden can be more than just a gym, but like a place where students can come and like receive other means of support as well.
Okay. Are there any objections? Going once, going twice? If not, congratulations to Phoebe on being appointed. Great, moving on to officer reports. So I'm going to make mine quick because I do know I want to like touch base on this mask mandate. Basically, there's been several meetings this week with administrators discussing when the mask mandate will be lifted. I want to thank Tay also for being a part of those meetings with me. Yay, because we were able to get that on board following the Murphy sit-in and get the SWCSC. But anyways, getting back to the ongoing issue, I think that what admin is trying to do at this moment is remove the mask mandate on April 11th. They're also not going to be requiring students to test regularly. It is only going to be strongly recommended. I believe that the testing will be only required for students that are traveling up until week 3. Thereafter, there will be no mandatory testing if you are fully vaccinated. Or like they said that what fully vaccinated means, like they haven't made it clear, but they need to work on the language for that. I definitely found a lot of issues with that because of the fact that, DSU has fought so hard. And I think like this is kind of a slap in the face to have like following everything that's been going on, like to fully remove the mask mandate and not even like recommending it. And that's something I brought up because I said, okay, well, LA County guidelines are in recommending that people still use their mask, like you still use their mask, right? But UCLA then said, or like administrators are saying, well, Berkeley didn't do that. But, I also was like, okay, but Berkeley is a much different campus in LA, and LA has kind of been an epicenter in a way of a lot of COVID issues. So I don't know. I'm kind of like at a loss for words. I think like that's the best way to describe it. And that's why I just kind of want to have it as a discussion item with all of y'all to see what we could do to like uplift concerns that there might be, following this, because I think that I also brought up the fact that what if some students don't feel comfortable going to class and they don't really have a clear response for me? It's kind of like, well, they can wear their K95s, but again, a lot of students actually have fought back against that because they don't feel safe going to class. So yeah, I just want to hear everyone's thoughts and like kind of gather my own and have that as a discussion item. But with that, I'll pass it off to Sarah.
Thank you so much, Breeze. Yeah, for my office, we've just been working on some like civic engagement events. That's what we've really wanted to focus on in the last quarter, just because a lot of the work I do tends to be a little more removed from campus. So we want to be on Bruin Walk and hosting events. Before my time, I recall there was like a Rock the Boat concert. So some exciting brainstorming going on there. And then this week, today I actually met with CalPERG about the single-use plastics resolution that Radha mentioned in public comment earlier. So we'll be excited to present that next week, actually next quarter. I'm not sure if we're meeting next week. Yeah, kind of winding down for the quarter and getting ready for the next one. I'll pass to Angie.
Thank you, Sarah. Last week I had a exec board meeting for Academic Senate, and during that meeting we discussed the responses that the new interim chair of the Academic Senate had sent out to DSU last week, and they answered some clarifying questions that I and the DSU had about their response. They also made it pretty clear that they felt very frustrated and concerned in the discrepancy of what senior administration has promised to students and like versus what they've said to the Academic Senate. So the Senate feels as though like senior admin has been using the Academic Senate as a buffer between themselves and students and placing the blame of not having remote options more so on the Academic Senate when the Academic Senate feels that it is more so in the hands of senior administration. So there just seems to be like a lot of like finger pointing on that end. And I brought up the possibility of potentially having Academic Senate addressing senior administration publicly, to which they said that they might, but that's like for a future conversation. But I do think that that would be helpful in just having more transparency and accountability. I also had a UGC meeting on Friday, and during that meeting, we had a discussion on offering online undergraduate degree programs in the future where students could have the option of doing their entire degree online. The main reasoning of support for online degree programs is for accessibility purposes. That's mainly what the student reps were advocating for. And the main reasons against it was that there were concerns that this would decrease the quality of UCLA's education. The points from that discussion will be communicated to other committees for deliberation and for future discussion. I also had a meeting with SEPI and the DSU yesterday. SEPI said that she's in the process of coordinating the Academic Senate. The meeting with Academic Senate and with USAC and the DSU, and that Zoom learning assistants are basically like ready to go, and an email will be going out to all students and faculty this week regarding that. And then as for my committees, my campus of care team and I sent out emails to professors and departments for our open access syllabi initiative, which is the syllabi shopping experience, and trying to get their syllabi on Bruin Learn before enrollment. And then my access and equity team set a date for our financial aid workshop and our food insecurity workshop in collaboration with CalFresh. And they're also working with DSU on creating note-taking guides to give to volunteer scribes and note takers for students in their classes. And my appointment to the SIOC is providing us with a list of school sites that have access projects so we can outreach to them for support on their issue or on their initiatives. And also the Holistic Wellness Coalition had a healing space event last week for the events of this past quarter. But yeah, I think that's all my updates. Thanks, y'all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ange. Great. So I want to remind folks, if you have not, please go ahead. I know that I think I saw an email earlier this week from Josh. Please make sure that you are putting in your written reports. Even if you have nothing to report from your office, please make sure that you write no report, just because we want to make sure that we are transparent with the student body and these notes are available to them so that they know what we have been working on. Great. Moving straight into admin reps, Miss Jessica.
Hello, it has been a minute since I've seen you all, so it's good to see you. I'll be around the office on Mondays and Fridays, so anyone's on campus and needs to stop by A-Level and chat, I'll be there. I don't really have any updates, but I just wanted to let you all know that since I'm back, hopefully I'll be able to set up one-on-one meetings with each of you sometime early next quarter, just to kind of see how things are going, make sure you all are comfortable with, preparing to transition out of office, given that elections are around the corner. And then also just to check in with those of you that requested and were funded surplus funds, just to make sure that, you have everything set to enact those funds and see if there's any additional support that you need from our end. So I'll look out for an email from me, and I'll try to give as much availability as possible just to fit with y'all's schedules, because I know you're all really busy, especially this time of year as we creep into spring quarter. But good to be back, and hopefully I'll see y'all soon.
Yay, thank you, Jessica. Can you bring the baby sometime? We want to meet them.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yay. Okay. Great. George?
Hi, folks. Good evening. So some updates. We had our Alumni Association board meeting this past Saturday. It was almost a 5-hour meeting. So just be glad you're not in a 5-hour meeting on a Saturday morning. But I provided updates based on the amazing work and the crazy struggle y'all been having this past quarter. So many different things, and I just wanted to report back that you do have allies within the Alumni Association board. We've had a really short but very deep conversation after I provided the updates to them regarding the wins and the work that y'all did, as well as all the craziness that happened during winter quarter. And I think we should be more communicative towards the Alumni Association when it comes to addressing issues that are impacting students throughout UCLA, right? So definitely just wanted to make that mini announcement in a sense, right? But I do know a Saturday morning 5-hour meeting is pretty ridiculous too. So we're trying to think of other ways to bridge the gap, I guess, when it comes to student voice and the alumni voice, right? And just having one person is pretty hard to do that as well, right? So we're trying to figure out ways to follow up with that. The other thing I wanted to report back on is that we did have a very interesting presentation or updates by Chancellor Block. And I think, he actually mentioned a couple of the things that, I was going to mention during our updates. Of course, there was much more of a more of a positive spin, optimistic spin from those updates regarding, COVID, the sit-in, as well as the threats of violence that happened all the last 3 months, right? So very interesting. But I also wanted to provide you all just he is beginning this interesting process of really zeroing in on what his legacy is about, as well as what will be the long-lasting changes that he wants to see UCLA really embark in. So I'm telling you all this not because it's not set in stone, but this is where the chancellor is right now when it comes to really setting the stage for long-term vision. And he definitely asked us as the Alumni Association to kind of provide our feedback on it. But of course, as the rep, I think it's also really important that students have a say on what this vision is for their campus, right? So I think, not to go into too much details, but I think the big themes are about developing, creating the next generation of leaders in California was his first one, which I think says a lot about how he feels about the student leadership happening now. And I think there's a sense of like he wants to continue some sort of development of leadership. He wants to grow not just the size, but also the diversity of faculty and staff within UCLA. Interesting because we did talk a little bit about the academic senate. His third team was more about like how do we begin to solidify more of the shared governance model that UCLA practices, right? And he definitely threw the academic senate there in that bucket, which I don't know how to feel about it. But it sounds something about like how do we start addressing some of the longer standing issues that are affecting students in terms of the inequities that we face. And I think he mentioned a lot about like what does a future tech-oriented campus look like, and how to utilize and leverage that to support all students, but like really address some of those inequities inherent within our society. And lastly, the fourth team was address societal challenges, which I mean, that's a catch-all really. But I think that conversation in itself sparked some strong feedback from the Alumni Association board on like how to really strengthen alumni student relationships when it comes to really focusing and zeroing on that leadership development stuff. So yeah, those are I mean that's the I think were very important things to report to you all from that very long meeting that we had on Saturday morning. So I'm open to questions right now, but if not, I understand it is week 10, so y'all should start studying and whatnot. But yeah, that's it on my end.
Thank you, George. Yeah, I want to thank you. I'm so sorry. Like I was trying to join. I was in the waiting room. I was actually double Zooming that day while I was at my mom's birthday party. Like I had the meeting with like all the other presidents as well that day. But yeah, I was interested in joining because I know that it was important. And I think I do want to talk to you, I think offline as well, kind of like what like they mean by like leadership development. I also think like it was a little bit difficult for like folks that were in Murphy to kind of, communicate with y'all. Like I know that we did have a couple of calls, but it was like in the sense that, we were truly not well. Like it was really hard. And I think it was really draining for like those of us that were like constantly there. I don't know, like Thomas, Tay, like folks that were like really present, how y'all feel about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I +1 to everything Bree said. I think, yeah, trying to get back into communicating with like everyone currently, because the 2 weeks plus spent in a hallway on campus definitely took a mental toll and physical, honestly. So yeah, but no windows. Um, but yeah, thank you so much, George. I also would love to talk more about the vision. Very intrigued, and we'll try to set up a time very soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know if Tay, you want to speak on it. Also, don't feel like you have to.
Yeah, I don't want to be like too redundant. First and foremost, thank you so much, George, for even like sharing what the Chancellor Block said. Like that's actually really helpful, kind of knowing what his vision is. But yeah, any like miscommunication, or I guess poor communication on our behalf was not like intentional. Like we definitely wanted to keep alum and other like administrative stakeholders that are allies informed. I think like having no windows where like time was kind of not real in the space, like and we were sleeping on the floor. and just kind of like looking at each other for 16 days straight, I think that kind of removed us from reality. So I think that was like a big thing on top of all the stress. But yeah, I would love to like, I want to just talk to you anyway and like kind of pick your brain and like talk to you. And yeah, so I would love to meet as well. Yeah, okay. I'll stop talking now.
And I just wanted to add too, I appreciate that, right? And by all means, by no means, I'm trying to say that the communication has to be like a one-way street up. Obviously, they're for all the committees and task force that administration as well as the Alumni Association has, and for us to kind of like be so caught off guard by the fast moving movements on the ground on campus kind of speaks to the divides, right? And so totally don't take it that's on y'all, right? I think it's on all of us, and if I dare say so myself, is more on us as the I mean, y'all are adults, right? But we're more like, we're like, not non-student folks here, right? And I think that there's something to be said about that in terms of those power dynamics. And I don't want to get into it, right? Because I can go into it. But I think there are some. The one thing I'll say at the end, right? Because one of the Alumni Association board members was asking me specifically based on the wins, right? Like what were the major protocols or policies that should have happened to not have a 16-day sit-in happen in the first place. And I think my answer to that question was basically, admin need to listen more, right? And I think that's like has been like a big theme that I've been kind of learning on the last couple of years when it comes to like just student activism within UCLA. So I'll just leave it at that. But would love to connect with you all definitely after finals, just to break it down more and maybe kind of plan and envision what this relationship could look like when it comes to USAC and the Alumni Association.
Yeah, thank you so much, George. I really appreciate like all the support you were outside as well during the sit-in. It meant a lot. So yeah, thank you. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it off. Sorry, I'm like, why is my Josh, another great support during the sit-in.
Hey friends, just a reminder, well, good luck with finals. Obviously, we're approaching that. With finals week and spring break coming, obviously, we will not be meeting next week, nor will we be meeting spring break, but we will return week 1. Yeah, that's all I have. Just please take care of yourselves during finals and spring break. Be safe.
Yay. Excited for that break. Orlando?
Hello, everyone. First of all, best of luck on finals. I know it's tough times, but hang in there. But no updates and enjoy your spring break.
Fernando? Thank you for that offer, Fernando. Patty?
Hi, everyone. Welcome back, Jessica. So great to have you back. Hope everyone's doing well. I did want to mention, you may have seen, I forwarded out an invitation. We're really excited during week 1 of spring quarter. We will be having the, I hear that promise. They will be having the unveiling of the Judy Baca mural. That was one of the major projects of the Centennial Campaign, and it's pretty amazing, and I hope you all can come out. And it's going to be on April 1st at 7 p.m. on the Westcom Student Terrace. So you have any questions, feel free to send me a message, and also feel free to forward that invitation. So really excited. Have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you, Patty. We really appreciate it. Great. That closes off admin reps. No old business, so new business. Moving straight to the guideline change. Tay?
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen. Okay. Okay. So this is just about the SWC Programming Fund. Currently, the SWC Programming Fund does not fund food, and we honestly can fund food. We have enough money in the SWC Programming Fund to fund food, and I think food is a source of like celebration. There are a lot of great ways to promote like mindful eating. So I think we're kind of missing that component by not funding food, and also just like providing another programming source where like students can apply and have their food offered or funded for. So basically the language as it states is items you may not purchase with this fund: food, trophies, charms, cameras, flowers and plants, candles, decorations, t-shirts, picture frames, personal gifts, compact discs, including DVDs, IM sports fees, plaques and engraving, parking citations, personal reimbursements of honorarium payments made to an individual. And then basically the guideline change is just striking food. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think this is a consent item.
Sorry, Tay, I don't know if it's on your end or my end, but like I don't see anything from your share screen.
Shut up. I mean, not shut up. Sorry.
No, no worries.
I'm so embarrassed. Okay. I'm not sure why you don't see it. Let's see. Do you see it now?
I mean, I don't, but I don't know if other folks.
Oh my God. Okay.
Me neither.
I don't think that's much.
I think it's okay just as long as, I mean, what you are proposing is the change of adding food to the source of funding is what we're hearing.
Yes.
And that's what the not opposition. That is what you are proposing, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. And I think this is a consent item. So yeah, I'll pass it back to Breeze.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Tay. So with that, the next new business item was the mask mandate removal. And I don't know, Tay, if you want to like also help me out with this discussion. I know that you were in a couple of meetings with me. But yeah.
Oh, Breeze.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick before you move on to the next one, do you want to call for if there's any opposition for the guideline change really quick? For the minute?
Opposition to the guideline changes that Taylani proposed? Going once, going twice. Seeing as there is no opposition, the the guideline changes are approved. I'm sorry. Yeah, great. Okay, so moving on to like the discussion item. I don't know, Tay, if you also want to join in, please feel free to jump in at any point. But yeah, I think that with this mask mandate removal, I'm a little bit scared and how it will affect like students, you know, particularly disabled students and like students that don't feel comfortable like being with next to students that haven't had their mask on. I know that I specifically did say like, is there any way that we can like have some sort of like, you know, even within the classroom kind of space out students and like have students that, for example, if I as a student don't feel comfortable sitting right next to someone that is not masked, how would that work? And, you know, they don't necessarily believe in like, you know, having students sit separately as well, which I get, like I even said myself, like air travels, but I'm just scared because it's not even strongly like even being recommended. And if LA County is recommending it, why aren't they doing that? And yeah, I'm just really confused and honestly, I'm shocked, but prom?
Yeah, I'm just like so annoyed by it for various reasons. Like there's a subvariant that's currently like going around, and it's like 30% more contagious than the original. And it's also like going around in New York currently. So, and like with the way it's been throughout the entire pandemic, once it hits New York, it's just it's a plane ride away at this point, before it hits LA. So it's just like really irresponsible. And like studies have shown that like literally masking is is literally like it helps not spread. So it's just like if we're gonna still be in person, if they're not gonna have that, they like should at least like recommend like have that mandate of like when people are in classrooms, like that's like a small period of time. Like if they're not going to mandate it for people being on campus, like if they're going to have people be in classrooms in like close quarters with each other, they need to like have that there, and that's something that they can mandate as a university. Like, and it's just like for them to not do that, it just doesn't make any sense why, like for that specific reason. I'm like, because that's just like putting people at such a risk, and like for outbreaks especially, like they're just asking for a super spreader event.
Yeah, just to echo that, and just to also offer some other commentary that they said regarding like not requiring or not even recommending, I should say as well. They said that students that are concerned about their health can just choose to wear a mask, but they're not. Another, driving force for them is that, when students are going out into like LA County, leaving that UCLA bubble, quote unquote, it's like a stark contrast. So like in LA County, masks are not being worn as much because it's not mandated, but then they're kind of forced when they come back into the UCLA bubble, then they have to wear a mask again. So that's like a primary like driving force, which is very dumb in my opinion. This is something I expressed last week. But yeah, that whole driving force, it doesn't make sense, but also like the fact that like, first of all, Shatali, which is like the ASH director, she's been a really, really amazing public health perspective at the table. And I don't really feel like she's been as listened to anyway. Not to get into like the weeds of it all, but I just kind of just want to offer that perspective. But yeah, I'll pass it off to Jane.
Hi, can you guys hear me? Yeah, I was just gonna like echo everything that like Taylani and Promise said. And then the other thing that like wanted to bring up is like I feel like this is something too where I don't know what your thoughts are, Breeze, on doing like a resolution or a statement. It's like if they're not gonna not require masks, then students who are uncomfortable should have remote options. So it's like, how are you not gonna do like any of the above when it comes to like masking, testing, or options? It's just like it's just literally none of the above. So I feel like I don't know if everyone on council would be down to do like a resolution or a letter or something.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, Haley, you can go ahead and go first.
Yeah, yes, I'm also down to do a resolution, Jane. But yeah, I just had a question for people that were in that meeting. Sorry if you already mentioned this, but did they address like the subvariant like in the meeting that is going around and starting to spread in New York?
They literally did not. And that's what I brought up. I was like, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to graduate in person. Like, I really, really want an in-person graduation, as I'm sure a lot of seniors here do. And quite frankly, like, y'all doing this is going to spread and it's going to affect us. And that's what got me really upset, is that they're not even going to require testing. And they're also having discussions already about completely removing like the symptom monitoring check, which is like, yeah, pass. I want to graduate as well in person. So it's like, I don't really know. And I was just baffled, like, over the fact that, they're having these conversations right now and there's like this variant going around. And I think that it just shows like how little they care about students. Like, not we were really cooped up in Murphy Hall for 16 days for them to literally say this 2 weeks later. Like, I'm just at a loss for words, truly.
But yeah, I think like having all of us push together would be helpful, because like anything, like I said, like it's been very difficult to like have like voice a lot of things in these meetings. And it's been like very stress inducing all year, because it's kind of like, okay, I'll say anything, and it's kind of like, well, like for example, when I said, okay, well, what if students are uncomfortable? And it's like, oh, well, those students can wear their K95s. And it's like, well, yeah, they can, but what if a student doesn't want to be right next to someone that's like fully like unmasked, and they might not be like taking care of themselves at all, right? What happens then? So it's like, yeah, I don't know. So I think like some sort of letter that we can come up with, and what I'll go ahead and do is like I'll send out like a Google Doc, and hopefully like we can start working on something together and hopefully get it sent out. I know it's week 10, but maybe like set a deadline to finish it by Friday. Because like, you know, everything at this university moves really fast, and I really think that we should get out some sort of formal statement of like where we stand, and also informing the student body, like that's just something that you should know moving forward, that, you know, like admin is planning to do that next quarter. So yeah, awesome. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the support. And with that, we can go ahead and move on to the discussion on Greek life. Thomas, you have the floor.
Thank you. And I would really love for everyone to be engaged in this discussion. As I don't know if everyone has seen the posts that have been going around on various social medias regarding a banner that was put outside of SAE during the UCLA USC basketball game. And I'm not necessarily going to say what was on the sign, but I know that various frats have this tradition when there is a sporting event to put some sort of derogatory sign up on the front of their like on the front of the building for all to see, as people are driving through Westwood. This isn't a issue specific to this one frat. I think it's indicative of the issue, like an issue that's broader than that. And that's why I wanted to bring it forth. And I know that a few other council members had also expressed concern, but like the larger student populace is expressing a lot of concern about it, because I think just in wake of a lot of the stuff that's been going on just in all of our communities, in wake of like a lot of the stuff that's went on, that came forward in the spring of 2020, not even too long ago, in a lot of communities here at UCLA regarding sexual assault, sexual violence, and just like women, and just not just women, but just like people feeling safe in our various communities. Like it's just not funny. And like I and along with a lot of people feel as though like Greek life has continuously gone like unchecked, and like continue like with the misogyny, racism, misogynoir, with the like just like constant perpetuating of like sexual assault, sexual violence, of rape culture. So I think like that's something that we as a council, as representatives of the entire student body, should discuss, see what we can do to express our support for students, and just like kind of take a stance in this as well. So just want to start out with that, and would love to hear from folks. If anyone else, if other folks would please jump in.
Yeah, I can. Oh, okay, I can jump in. I'm probably gonna have a lot to say in this discussion too. But okay, so I know that Ring Consent Coalition has been meeting, or has been trying to meet. They've been able to meet with 2 sororities. But as far as I know, and as far as I can remember, they have reached out to all of like the whatever, that the main like fraternity sorority system on campus, and like a lot of them were not responsive to like the Bruin Consent Coalition trainings, which obviously consent trainings are a very vital part, especially with that Greek life needs to be exposed to. So I think that's an issue in itself, is that there has been intervention in those spaces, yet they haven't been responsive or receptive to what we're trying to educate them on. So that's a big issue that I want to draw attention to. But yeah, I'll let Haley go next.
Oh, you can go ahead and go. I was just going to respond to a point real quickly that you mentioned with regards to like outreach to people on Panhandle regarding like leadership on there. If you need support in reaching out to leadership, I used to be in one of the sororities, but I did drop because of like I expressed discomfort in the space because of all the problems that it had. And so I do have those contacts, and if y'all need like support in reaching out to leadership, like please let me know, and I'm like more than willing to directly connect you to their phone numbers and such.
Yeah. I think I could go ahead and like touch base on this a bit. I know like I'm a part of like a Latinx Greek sorority as well. And like I will say, like even within our Latinx Greek life, like we definitely have a lot of problems, which is also a reason why I've had to step away from the space. I don't know what we as USAC can do or say. But I do think that, you know, there needs to be accountability of all ends. Like with Greek life in general, there's just like a lot of problems with all of it. And, you know, I say this as someone in a sorority as well that thinks that there needs to be a removal of like Greek life in general. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I wanted to.
Admin is also very much, you know, in a lot of discussions, even like when I bring up, oh, like the mask mandate, and they'll tell me, well, like admin sometimes points and references, like, and I think Tay and like Prom, you guys can also attest to the fact that like we often get like the whole like, oh, well, like these people are saying that we don't need to like, we don't need to enforce masks. And it's always like implied by them that it's like people that are Greek life affiliate as well. So it's like, I don't know. It's a really weird position to like, I don't know what we can do or say.
No, most definitely. Also, I was thinking that it would be really, I guess, constructive if we did another resolution or maybe a statement. And I would love to get Bruin Consent Coalition on the table with that. I think they would have a lot of like fruitful, helpful things to contribute to any like form of action that we end up doing. But yeah, those are just kind of like my ideas for potential intervention as well.
Oh yeah, folks, please feel free to like engage. Like, yeah, you guys do not have to raise your hands like that.
Yeah, I think it was Passa, then Emily.
Okay, I was just wondering, does anyone here like can any of you guys enlighten me on, or any other council members on, like policies regarding investigations of Greek life? Because from my like shorthand knowledge, I'm not involved in Greek life at all. I spent most of my time here at UCLA ignoring them. When a fraternity or a sorority or whoever is like under investigation, they're supposed to be on probation, correct? And not like throwing parties. But I'm not sure what the exact rules are.
I don't know what the rules are either, but I would say it goes back to like before just beyond just doing things like explicitly like wrong or having like Title IX cases filed against them. For example, in this situation with SAE, there was a poster hung outside that was really like borderline threatening, I would say would be like the vibe, and just misogynistic. And I feel like for that, there a lot of times there isn't a way for like one certain person to file a certain Title IX case, because it's not certainly like targeted towards anyone. It's just a general perpetuation of rape culture and misogyny on campus, is what I'd say. But I don't know if other people know more.
I think that when a chapter is on probation, there's rules that like the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life like puts on them, including definitely like not holding events. But I'm not sure of the exact rules. In terms of like things that we could do as a council, I feel like writing a letter and then addressing it to like the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life as like as one of the entities that it's addressed to could be helpful, since they're like an administrative body with like, I don't know how to like, I mean adults, I mean we are adults, but like people who work there as administratives. And yeah, I think it's up to that office usually to enforce, like to enact and enforce like those types of punishments. But yeah, I mean, like adding on for like my personal stuff, like I'm still a member of a Greek life organization, not very involved because of like all of those issues that have been mentioned. And it's just so like discouraging, because for me personally, like my earliest involvement in USAC was actually like due to a member of that sorority who like she's since graduated, but she's very passionate about like reproductive justice and like she ran on a campaign a bunch of years ago like to like try to provide more sexual assault resources to survivors. And it's just so discouraging to see all of this still happening.
Yeah, I agree with that point, Emily, because I think like that's definitely been my issue with a lot of like being a part of the space. Like I am also still affiliated, but I think that it was like too much for me to like, break down, because I think like we already have so much to do as USAC. So it's also hard to like break it down from internal as well. But prom.
Yeah, I just wanted to speak to kind of like who like to kind of send it to. I find, from my understanding, it's under student affairs as well. And I think Mick DeLuca might oversee it, but I might be wrong. But that's my current understanding. So those are folks who we can also kind of like address the letter to, or if we were to write a resolution, which I am also very in favor of.
Maya?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if this was something we could write a resolution about, and like wanted to express that I would be interested in like working on that.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know when we would pass this resolution. I'm also like confused. Should it be some sort of letter that we address to the student body as well, and like make it a public letter? Because I also think that if we do a resolution, right, we wouldn't be able to vote on it until next quarter. And I think like it's kind of like a pressing issue. Like I know personally, our own UCLA president's page, we'd be getting like a lot of engagement on there, but people have been adding it, like I think wanting us to say something. And they've been DMing saying like, oh, Breeze, I don't know if you've seen this, but this is circling. So I'm not sure if it's something that we wanted to address sooner, because we're not having a council meeting next week. Erman?
Yeah, I feel like a letter would be a good way to engage with this like more quickly. I would just say that it would be very important to ensure that like relevant student organizations and other folks are included in that like writing process. And like definitely I think a resolution would give like more time for that to come through, but if the letter route is the route that folks decide to go in, I think just making sure that everyone who like needs to be informed about its like writing process and being involved is, just so that we do get the relevant feedback from the students who like have been working on these concerns or issues, or who would be interested in also sharing with council. I mean, I think it's important too that a lot of us, or a lot of folks have mentioned, you know, not having a relationship to fraternity and sorority life. Like I, for example, don't have one. And so I think it would be really important to get the perspective from folks who can also speak to this, having, you know, been a part of that, or who have been like working on making these issues that are experienced as a part of fraternity life a little bit more salient to those of us on council who may need to hear those experiences or have those a part of that letter process. So yeah, I would just say that if we go that way, I think it's really important that those student leaders and those student organizations are a part of it as well.
Yeah, I just had a question. Like, would it be helpful to directly like email the director of the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life to like ask what steps they're currently taking to address the incident as SAE and like the history of SA right now? Because I could do that.
Yeah, that might be helpful. Haley?
But I could do that and then like share the email with y'all to review before and then send it afterwards, just so that like we're doing something actionable right now.
Haley, I do want to point out that the director is out on maternity leave right now. So Emily Oswald is the interim director while the current director is out.
Okay. Do you know if her emails like, are their emails online, or do you
Yeah,
happen to have it?
And I'll drop the information in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
I also wanted to just like make sure we are on the same page for this, for like all of council, make sure that like, I think this would obviously be strongest if this was something we all supported, that this would be a letter not just condemning this one incident, but condemning Greek life as an institution and encouraging the like UCLA as an institution to move away from Greek life, and would want to make sure that people were okay with that before we start working on something that we would all be signing on to.
Yeah. So I think like Jane, I did want to like ask about that because, you know, for those of us that are still a part of Greek life, you know, like it's like me personally, I, you know, found like there are a lot of problems with it, but you know, as like a first gen like Latina woman, like it also has served its purpose in like some ways for me as well to have like, you know, a cultural sorority. So I'm like wondering like, are we condemning like all of Greek life, like the actions of Greek life? Like I like that's just like a question I wanted to ask.
I think to that point, I know that like the Latinx like frat life has also been historically problematic and has like a history of sexual violence, and so yeah, just want to bring that up as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. But like I know like my sorority, for example, like we are not having any events. And that's like something I did before I went inactive, like push that we not have any events with any like Latinx like fraternities because of like their problematic history. So I don't know then.
Yeah, as Jane said in the chat, she said like maybe just frats. But honestly, like if we're talking about the problems with Greek life as a whole and like addressing like its problematic history beyond like just sexual violence, I think that's also important, just because like in the spaces like I was a part of, there was a lot of like issues regarding like EDI. Yeah, it just wasn't a safe space for like people of color and non-binary folk and like queer folk in the space. And so yeah, I would aim to like address the issue with Greek life as a whole personally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Can I go?
Of course, Prom.
Yeah, I think like for me, like where I stand is very much so like important to address the history, address and condemn the like culture around it. And it because it's not just like it is super rampant in fraternities and sororities, but sororities are also fraternities technically. But I think also just like at the end of the day, like Greek life cannot continue to exist if it wants to if it's going to continue to perpetuate these like this culture like at the end of the day. So it's just like it's if Greek life needs to be abolished because it cannot adhere to not perpetuating to that, then so be it, because we can't not allow that violence to continue, like period. Like, and that's just that, and it's just like that's what that means. And I think that's like a stance that's fair to take regardless of whether you're in a sorority or in Greek life or not, because that's just taking a stance against like violence in general. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah, thank you, Promise. I definitely agree with that. Okay, wait, sorry, I'm like losing track of hands. Angie, then Passa, I believe.
Yeah, I wanted to plus one everything that Promise just said. I also think it's important to address as well how some professional frats can be just like perpetuate harm to students who are seeking opportunities and resources that these frats promise to students, but sort of like gatekeep in a sense, or they have like students go through all of these different, like elitism. They have students go to all of these events and kind of tell students that they can't apply to other clubs or organizations and can only rush that particular frat. And it can be very damaging. I'm an RA, and a lot of my residents have expressed a lot of like mental health related challenges that have come with that, and just feeling like they aren't good enough for these frats, and considering dropping out, which poses a retention issue. And it does very much contribute to imposter syndrome and imposter phenomenon. So I think I would also really like to address that portion as well, because it is very harmful to a lot of folks, especially first gen students who come into UCLA, really wanting to find a community and then being met with all of these harmful processes that gatekeep a lot of opportunities and resources from them.
Hi, I just want to first preface by saying that I probably know less about Greek life than a lot of the people on council. With that in mind, I think that, I'll second what Angie says about professional fraternities. It's really concerning how it seems that a lot of them do perpetuate harm to students, and I think are actually more unregulated than the fraternities and sororities we usually think of, which is pretty surprising, and it's pretty bad. I also think that, if there's a statement to be made in a letter or a resolution, whatever that may be, there has to be some acknowledgement of the history of some of these fraternities and sororities. Like there's a lot of history that I think, unfortunately, points to why we are here in the way that we are today with UCLA Greek life. And that acknowledgement is super important. And I also think that there has to be a call out to administration for, unfortunately, not enforcing the rules in the way that they should be doing with these organizations.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, wait, are there any other hands? Jane?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say I agree with what Promise and Angie said, hang on, let me move real quick. I agree with what Promise and Angie said about like also professional fads having a lot of like history too, but I also like see where we're not maybe like, I don't know if the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life manages those frats. I'm not sure if anybody does know, so maybe we would need to do like multiple things addressing multiple different people. And this, I know we're having a continuing discussion, but I know there are people from council who aren't here, and I would want to make sure that we got all of council's support. So also the people who haven't spoken yet, I'm not sure who that is, would love to make sure to hear your opinion on it, because I think this is something where we would really need the full weight of council behind it, because Greek life is something that is so deeply ingrained in our institution and deeply ingrained in a lot of very problematic and violent ideals.
I have spoken already, but I do want to jump in again. I definitely think that a lot of the focus is on Pan-Hellenic. I think especially, at least my awareness of frats as well, includes like the queer community as well. I've also like often been victims of fraternity violence. But I do think that a lot of that has centered around Pan-Hellenic. And I think we can tell already based on how this conversation has gone and like by the chat as well, that there are still delineations that have to be made about the like types of fraternities and sororities and how that language is intentional. And so I think it is important that like for like us to move together collectively as a council, that throughout the letter writing process, we are very, very intentional about exactly like who and how we're addressing these issues, and being very conscious of the forms of like fraternity and sorority life that, you know, do provide community for students and that do provide professional development for students. And there's just so much minutia there that I think it's important that that when we're writing, and this is definitely something that I'm like happy to contribute to as well as we like think about that writing process and begin it, that language is just very clear.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, Armand. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Okay, so I don't know, Promise, like since you're leading the discussion, what do you want like as like a next plan kind of thing?
Yeah, I think probably like moving forward, working, getting us started on that letter, and also probably like the resolution, and like folks who want to work on that, we can probably coordinate in the Slack, and everything with everyone. But thank you all for engaging in this conversation. Probably all continue having conversations. And yeah, I think we're good to close out everything unless anyone has any final thoughts. Go ahead, Pasa.
I think that given also like, you know, not to be too meta here, like USAC historically has, you know, members of USAC have been in Greek life before. And I think that like Greek life has been entangled in student government on this campus and many others. I think that like if we're going to be writing something, we also need to be transparent about that. I'm not affiliated. I don't know who's affiliated, but we just got to be honest with our constituents.
Can I just say that this is like y'all have been mentioning that this isn't just an issue that just comes up just now, right? It's a very and I don't know how to say this, but easiest way to say this, like I know when I was a student on USAC 10 years ago, of you know, this was still an issue, right? And then I can point to you all to various different Daily Bruin articles and whatnot that showcases some of the historical racism, sexism, violence that, you know, that it looks like it is still continuing, persisting within Greek life. So I think there's and there are times that council in the past have addressed that too, right? So not to put more work, right? But I think that there is a need to maybe like do some further research to really see like how far this goes. And I'm sure that there's some folks who've kind of done that already as well, right? It's just like learning where to look for it. But I know that, you know, a quick search in Daily Bruin can garner a lot of results on answering some of these questions.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Is there anything else that folks want to add? Anyone else would like to speak? Okay. Prom, do you want to close off the discussion for us?
Yeah, I think we're all good. Definitely do encourage folks to engage in this conversation in like the coming weeks, because I genuinely think this is like an issue that has been bubbling for years, and like people aren't happy with this, and it's just like a lot of people are understanding like how much harm like Greek life has caused to various communities in like various ways. So yeah, I think like it's super imperative is like we as council members to address this and to take a stance on this. So I look forward to working on it with all of y'all. And yeah, presenting it to the rest of the student body. So yeah, thank y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Promise. And with that, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting at 8:55 p.m. Fernando, will you stop the recording?